Yes, guys, hope everyone is good. I'm going to talk about our identity because I mentioned it on Joe's show, but obviously I can't go on for 15 minutes on Joe's show about one thing. So I'm going to expand on it and give my thoughts on what that means. Because right now there's massive disconnect in identity between the fans, the players, the manager, and the board. Whether that's mean, whether they want that to happen, whether that's the style of play, whether that's the manager, the players, the board, or everything, the feeling and the identity of the club isn't there, and everyone's at a bit of a crossroads as to what we are right now. And that's a big problem for any club. You know, my example, identity is everything. It is everything in a club. And the obvious thinking of identity is on the pitch, right? What the team looks like, how they play. But that's just one small meaning of it. You know, I look at the way Liverpool before Klopp lost their identity. They had different managers. It was never really working. The fans never had that connection, and therefore they didn't have the backing or the success. When Klopp came in, he galvanised the board, fans, the players, and him together to create that strong identity of a club. And they've had a lot of success from that. They all love him. Same for Bielsa. That's exactly what he did here. There was so much disconnect for years and years and years. Some good times in there, but mostly crazy bad times. Bielsa came in and epitomised what we needed, what we identified with. This honest man who played beautiful football. The shy character, but on the pitch loud. You know, honest, hard-working character who was all about the team winning. And the football was unbelievable. And the fans loved it because it brought success, but it was so fun to watch. And there was a good feeling around the entire club. The entire club was conjoined for the most part, and it was a beautiful thing. But right now, there's a disconnect. And the thing is, this is not necessarily a one-person problem. This is an entire thing that needs to come together to create that identity, our strong identity. People hate Leeds. We love us, you know, a lot. Leeds fans are very, very passionate. On average, ridiculously passionate. Everyone hates us, but that's our identity, and we love that. But we love to prove them people wrong, you know? Identity is so important, and when it comes to playing style right now, it's clear the fans are not happy with what it is. Every game is a different style, it seems. We're not going in the game with this game plan, this aggressive game plan that we're going to do. The first 10 minutes of that Portsmouth game, when we pressed and we went crazy, the fans loved it. The second we dropped off, we started dropping, and the intensity went, the fans didn't like it. Players are getting booed. You know, this is because there's a lack of identity towards the club from that. And that's the frustrations the fans show. And it's clear, the communication from the board to the fans isn't what the fans want. That's the identity. We need to know something. We need to understand our club is precious to us. We need to know what's going on. When nothing happens for 30 days and you don't win a game for 30 days and you don't bring a player in for 30 days, naturally, passionate fans are going to have questions. Of course they are. That's not a thing we need to show up. No. It's a whole month without anything going on. We're being told we're going to win the league, we're going to have all the tools, and it's been a month without that. Naturally, a fan is going to go, what is going on? And this is where the communication needs to come into it. You don't need to say much, just be honest. Because I genuinely think with this fan base, if you're just honest, they'll accept that more. It's the lies that these fans don't like, because they've been lied to and scarred because of that. You know? And then the contrast goes to the manager. We'll talk about the manager right now, because he is at fault for instilling the identity on the pitch and the feel around the club, right? That's on the fault of any manager at any club. That's them. That's what they do. But identity isn't just the way you play. It's the feel and the vibe around the entire club. Like, for example, when I used to go to training, you know, it was, you turn up with a smile on your face. You expect certain players or certain coaches to say certain things, and that makes you feel better. That makes you feel at home. That gives you an identity, you know. It could be every Thursday you need to give cakes to the coaches. You know, you need to bring in a cake and buy a cake. You know what I mean? Just a little thing like that. That's identity. The fines, you know. You create crazy finds. That's identity. You have certain characters that bring a certain feeling, training to the club. That's identity. And I'm sitting there, and like I said, my uni days, we had a great staff for 2 years, 3 years, whatever, 3 years. But it changed after the second year, and we had 2 years of great staff. And between us, we knew each other. The identity was great. We knew when each other weren't happy. We'd laugh about it. We'd joke about it. We'd get annoyed at each other. But at the end of the day, we knew our identity. We knew what we did. The problem there is the players always change, right? So you can't keep the same identity. It's tough. You try to, but when you lose big characters in changing rooms, it's hard to replace, especially when you can't go in the transfer window and find players. You are given what you got, And we've lost them characters. We've lost what made us us. Daniel Farke's lost them. And to back Daniel Farke here, people are going to tell me, all this stuff. And I want to be clear on some things because it is annoying me to an extent. And I get it. But I'm trying to look at it from his perspective. I'm going to use the great one. Of course, one of my biggest idols in life. I love this man, Marcel Bielsa. There's a narrative going round that Daniel Farke needs good individuals to win games of football. Okay. Now, what I'm going to say to that is this. Every manager has certain needs. They need players that fit their identity. Okay? Without that, their philosophy, their tactics, their understanding, their style of play, what they want to bring across to the team won't be successful. There's this narrative that Marcel Bielsa could go into every single club and make them better instantly. Not true. And he said this about the type of players, the type of things he needs. He watched every single game of Leeds United's season in a few weeks before he joined us because he wanted to identify if players were right for him. That is a key part of it. He did so much research into every single player to make sure that when he went into the club, he could make a difference. That's the profile. That's the identity he brings across. The reason Marcel Bielsa never got a Barcelona, Real Madrid, or top Prem move is because the egos in those clubs and the different ownerships of what they expect would not coincide with Marcelo Bielsa. Marcelo Bielsa's prime dominance of a game was based on the work ethic and the mental attitude of his players. That endless running, that endless movement, that endless hard work, even if you're getting battered, to not stop, to keep going. Players at the top of the game, and we've seen this, we've seen them chuck out managers with great ideas because their egos don't like it and they go to the board and tell them, look, I don't like this. We're working all this hard and nothing's happening. That's the reason why Marcel Bielsa never got that top job. And he knows that wouldn't work because egos wouldn't work well with him. Because the second as a player you question Marcelo Bielsa's tactics, you're gone. So that's what he relies. That's the type of player he needs. He needs professionals who can work extremely hard. That is the main premise. Of course, they have to be good at football to an extent. You need 2 or 3 technical players in there. But the main premise is how hard you work and you outwork your opponent, which means you can dominate them in every area of the pitch. That's what he instilled. That was his identity. Barker's identity is different. Barker relies on individual brilliance from individual players, right? In the final third. He likes a solid defence. Look at his defences. Solid defence with balanced wing-backs or full-backs. A solid base in midfield where they're good passers, good ball progressors. But the front four, dominantly, are players who are smart on the ball and off the ball, understand the game tactically, so they know the rotations, they have freedom. They're players who play with freedom. And a number 9 up top who can score goals. Very simple profile. Look at his wingers. Onel Hernandez. Todd Cantwell, Buendia. All players that rotated and played with complete freedom in the final third to create their own chances using their talent. It's a different approach to Bielsa, but it's not any worse. There's this metric that you have to have this way or it's wrong. It isn't. Being a manager that relies on individual talent in the final third is not a bad thing. People complain these days that players are robots and they have to do certain things. Yet when it's the opposite, people complain. The manager's not good. He's making them do individual things. Let them. That's their character. That's the identity. And it works. He's shown success at this level many times. It works if you have the right players. The point is that either Bielsa or Farke, if you don't get them what they need, it won't work. It's that simple. And that's the same for every other manager. Guardiola's style is so complex. He needs top players to do it. He said himself he could not do what Bielsa did with the Leeds team. So players wouldn't be able to do it at the level he requires to be successful. It's the same for Klopp. You need the identity. You need the right type of players. And this comes to the recruitment. This comes to what we need right now. What Daniel Farke needs right now. Joe Perot is the conversation. Let me tell you right now, Joe Perot would not work in a Marcelo Bielsa system. Joe Perot is not a Farke problem that he, in terms of make him better. There's so much you can do for a player to make them fit the system. Joe Perot would not work under Marcelo Bielsa. He wouldn't. Bielsa could not make him better because he's got the physical attributes and the limitations physically that wouldn't work. He can't press. You can make him his movement smarter in different positions, but he's not going to be an aggressive presser. He can't be that. He doesn't have the physical attributes to do that. So he wouldn't work under Bielsa. And I said at the start, he's never an ideal fit under a Farke system. There's loads of players that didn't work under Bielsa as well, and you have to clarify this. There is loads of players. Barry Douglas, Costa come to mind. They didn't work. You know, Rodrigo, another one as well. Huge player that didn't quite work under Bielsa, didn't quite have the impact he wanted him to have. Dan James, Bielsa wanted him for so long, and there's context that he played up front, but still didn't quite work. Cody Jarame, this big talent, didn't quite make it through, was never quite good enough for what Bielsa wanted, couldn't improve him to the level that we thought he would be at. Every manager needs the right style of player, and even if they're ultra talented, really good players. When we brought in Costa, he was really good. He was a really good level. It didn't quite work for us in the level we needed, because he probably wasn't the right profile. And this comes to the recruitment side of it, and what I mentioned with Joe Perot. People are criticising Farke for not making Perot fit. There's a limit to that, because the profile of player, and that comes back to recruitment. Was he brought in? Is that Farke's decision? If it was Farke's decision, that's on him, and that's his judgment. But the fact of the matter is, right now, it ain't working, because the profile of player doesn't necessarily work. And the biggest thing that I need to, most players improve more by themselves than what the manager can give them. The manager gives them instructions. It's down to them as individuals to be in the right space up here, to be fully motivated to do that. How many times in a season have we seen the player's gone away, he's come back a different player? That's nothing to do with the manager. That's down to the individual athlete getting in the right space to want to develop and get better. Matteo Joseph, for example, left and came back a completely different character. Jorginho Rutter left the Premier League, went on holiday, had some time out, came back to the Championship, changed mentally, stronger, much better player, confidence. Players come back. Players have their own coaches, their own individual coaches, their own analysts, their own nutritionists, their own psychological coaches. They have all of it at their disposal. They have to do their bit to make sure they can fit and get better if they want the future of the club to be the one they're at. Managers cannot work with 25 or whatever it is players every day to make them better. They can go, this is how we'll play. This is what I want you to do. We will repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. But the other things that you need to work on, you have to do in your own time. That's the fact of it. Most players that improve more than others is because they put more of their own time into working hard than at training. Everyone can go to training for 2 hours a day, but there's players that will stay there for 3 or 4 hours after doing their own bits, and these are the ones that improve the most. And that's the biggest part here. I'm sure he is. I'm sure Joe Perot's working hard to try and find a way to work, because he has that natural ability to score goals, which is great, and I like that about him. There's nothing Farke can do in terms of, even tactically, like he will be in positions, he will find areas, and then his touch will be off. He'll be on the ball in good space, in the half space, turning with it. and then he's too slow on the ball, and then he'll get intercepted, he'll get tackled. These are the decisions making that he has to work through as an individual. You know? And all the best players in the world do this. And maybe he is doing that. I'm not saying it just might take longer. It might not work. It might. And this comes down to the identity of the recruitment. If you're backing a manager, right? If you're backing a manager, the recruitment process is get them. Look, whether it's a coach or a manager, the manager thing is so, it doesn't really exist these days. Big Sam was talking about in an interview on a podcast he does. It doesn't really exist. At the most, you get to go into recruitment meetings, right? That's what a manager does these days. At the most, you might have a discussion on the final list, the short list, on which one he wants first, second, third, fourth, fifth, for example. But the most of everything else, from the manager perspective, is just a title. They like to think they have more power. The reason we have directors of football heads recruitments is because the manager role is now void. It doesn't really exist. It's about being in cahoots, the identity again, bringing in players and being together as a recruitment team and as a coach, the identity of the club going through your mind to find the right players to fit the style so the style can flourish. It's the key part of it. When the style's flourishing, we're winning games, we're playing better, we're playing with freedom, we're attacking, we're scoring goals, we're looking good, sharp. The fans love it, the fans will love the manager more, the fans will love the players, everyone's cheering, the identity is better. That's the key part of a football club, the identity. Like I said, this starts from little things. And we need to find that. Everyone has to work together to find that. When this club, and we've seen it, when this club has a real identity, we are so good. Motion season under Bielsa. Actually, the season before that where we failed, we still had identity. We didn't give up. And the season after we came back and we destroyed that league. And even in tough parts, we had the character, the leadership, and the personality to get out of it. Because we had a strong identity and a strong belief. The Premier League season, we finished 9th with that squad. Because the identity was so strong. The recruitment was right. What we didn't do, and when we lost our identity, was when the window after, the manager said, have to replace these players or replace me. None happened. We brought in 2 players. And suddenly the players are not playing as well. The system isn't working. The board are arguing with the manager. The fans are arguing with the board and the players. Players want to leave. The identity's gone. Dead. Like that quick. The owners now have to try and find that togetherness. Trust me, it's not easy. It's also not that difficult because we're a fan base that just wants to see our team play well and win games with players who want to be at the club. That's all it needs for me. But yeah, there's 2 weeks left in the window. You need to back the manager with what he needs. That's the identity. Give him the best chance to succeed. That is key. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a little different. As you're reading this, I will be going through the comments. Trust me, from the old video. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all the support. I'll see you guys in a bit.